It's to stop someone from telling them you're a cop.
The same thing that's keeping me from telling them why you're really here.
The reason why we did do this film is because people were probably never satisfied enough with the sequels that came after, which were all cool, but not a continuation of the first film.
They had been talking about doing Fast Four ever since the third one. Then it appeared at the end, and people were crazy for it, and suddenly there was like, oh my God, we can really do this now.
The only way that would work is if I would be lucky enough to get Paul, Jordana, and Michelle to come back. Called Paul. Paul says, if you're down, I'm down. You only have to call me once.
When they started talking about making this fourth one, I really thought it was done. I didn't think I was going to make another Fast and the Furious. They told me, Vin would come back, and Michelle Rodriguez, and Jordana Brewster, and I was like, why not?
Having the original cast back was important. There's no other reason why to do a movie like this. Everybody has kind of gone in different ways, and the challenge is we had to be honest with each other to make sure that we're doing this for the right reasons. And the one thing that I discovered was that the first Fast and Furious, in many ways, were a big fork in the road in their careers, and it really launched them. So I think they take it very much to heart, the characters.
It's rewarding to actually make the movie with people who were a part of your introduction to Hollywood.
Get out of here, Dom! Get out of here!
I mean, I probably would have come back sooner if someone else would have provided the same team, the same family, right? And now when they said, Vin, if you get that family, we can make this happen. That was very, very, very satisfying.
People who know the franchise are going to love to see our original guys back. But for people who haven't seen the other movies, it's a standalone movie. This is a good old-fashioned big action film with colorful characters, great cars, and really exotic locations.
I feel like we've come full circle because it's very rare that a franchise kind of departs and the lead characters who were in the original one go by the wayside, and then to bring them back, it feels like we have come completely around. There were certain days on the set where I just remember back, and it kind of felt like that same camaraderie that we had on the first one.
After the first week of shooting, it was like everyone was back to their old ways. Everyone was joking around, and I think we all felt really lucky to be a part of it.
All of a sudden you care what happens to me?
What I did to you was wrong. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Just being back on set kind of feels like, like you can, build friendships with cool people and like see each other years later, and it's like yesterday. So for me, it's more of an emotional thing than anything.
I think all good buddy action movies have to have two really different types of characters who can approach the same scene two completely different ways. And with Paul as fast and Vin as furious.
You here to take me in, O'Connor?
The combination of the two of them and seeing how they approach the same scene together. And they just have a really good rapport and a really good chemistry together, and that's something that we can't invent, that either happens on screen or just doesn't happen.
Perfect. Look at that.
There's probably no actor in the world that I've worked with that is going to bring out a certain familiarity like Paul will. For some reason, there is a chemistry that really, really, really helps to tell the story of these archetypes.
It's like the East meets West Coast, He's New York, and I'm as California as it gets. For some reason, we get along really well. We shouldn't, but we do.
139.5. This is where my jurisdiction is.
And I think it's the same thing with Dom and Bryant. It's a good guy and a bad guy. Come on, they shouldn't get along, but they do.
This is where mine begins.
God, that was awesome.
It was really fun to get behind the wheel of the car again. We started doing some training early on. Every film that I do calls for a lot of pre-production. When I do pre-production for Fast and Furious, it's always fun because you're racing cars and you're doing stunts in cars that everybody would love to do.
It was very hard keeping both actors out of the car. I mean, Vin would take the GNX out and he would start doing donuts and crazy stunts, and he's like, look, I can do it, I can do it. And Paul, same thing, you know. I think Paul is very uncomfortable in front of a green screen because I've seen Paul drive, and he owns a Skyline, he owns all these cars, and he's a good driver.
Action, action!
And Paul is so physical, I really wanted to use that.
3, 2, 1, action!
I think he was very sore on the last day of that shoot because he was running with the dress-up shoes and so and he was jumping, he was climbing fences and doing everything, but you can't fake that. So it was really great to have someone like Paul who will do anything. Can you jump over the fence? He's like, okay. So we got to really max that out.
Justin's a great director. On set, he's definitely the leader. He's a captain.
Justin Lin's cool as hell. The guy is like in permanent chill mode. On a movie like this, where there's so many components, from special effects, visual effects, pyro, you gotta try to get everything done right the first time. You know, there's a lot of pressure on your hands, and he just deals with it so well.
I really like Justin a lot too. Gotten along really well. I really respect him and his work ethic. He's perpetually stoked, and I like being around him. His energy is real contagious.
Something Justin's really, really good at is talking to the actors. He can talk everything out, and he's just very, very calm. And I don't understand how that's possible with movies like this, where everything is going on and there's so much money on the line.
He's very patient and he works with you. He gives you the freedom to do whatever you think is the best for your character.
You had Justin and I off to the side, constantly tweaking and reworking and understanding and trying to pull out the deeper character moments and the deeper character relationships. The meaning of each person's kind of existence in the story in such a cool way.
I was in film school when the first film came out. When we saw it, and I remember the whole crowd erupted, and to experience that as a film viewer, and now on the other side as a filmmaker, I realized there is a lot of responsibility. There is a responsibility to take it to the next level, to really push it, and to really be respectful to the fans and also to the characters.
The bar has to be raised time and time again, but Forrest taken it on a whole new level. It was ambitious. It was a lot of fun.
I'm fine.
It feels like not just a little movie about car racing. It feels like a kind of a big epic movie that spans a couple different continents and really has some huge, huge action. But at the heart of it, it's got great characters and great, history between these characters. And I'm really, really happy to have made it. I think it's the best one yet.
There's so many great things to be excited about with this movie. But nothing more satisfying than being able to do it with the same team that you did the first one in. How did that look, guys? Increíble.
He's lying.
Coño.